Hello. Just gonna wait for some people to come on. Hello. Okay. Let's wait a little bit more and then we can start. Hi, Reba. Hi, Glenn. Hi, Dua. Hi, Tuba. Hi, Musna. Okay, 9 viewers. Let's wait a little bit more, maybe a minute or two, and then we can start. Okay, not 2 minutes, 1 minute, and then we'll start. Okay. Good evening. All right. Okay, I think we'll start now. So, hello everyone. My name is Husna Akbar and I'm an intern at House of Pebbles. Now, I think you guys have gotten enough of an introduction if you've been keeping up with this page or with the House of Pebbles page on Instagram. My intern, well, not my interns, my fellow interns have been going live a few times in the last few days. So I would really suggest that you like the page, you follow it if you haven't already. So yeah, I'm really excited for what we have in store for you as well, Musna. Right, so a little bit about me. I'll just give a quick introduction and then we can jump right into it. My name's Husna, I just told you that. I love cats, I love the color yellow. I love working here, being an intern at House of Pebbles. That's one thing I love. So let me just give a quick intro about House of Pebbles. Like I said, my fellow interns have already told you a lot about it. So yeah, I think you've probably already gotten the whole idea of that. But otherwise, House of Pebbles is an organization that provides mental health services to people. I would really suggest that you go check out their Instagram and their Facebook. They provide in-person sessions, online sessions, one-on-one, as well as group therapy and support group sessions, which are going to come very soon. So I would really suggest that you keep up with the page and we'll let you know when that happens. We have lots of new and exciting things for you all. Lots of workshops coming very soon. Besides that, one thing I really love about House of Pebbles is that they're very original, So like the co-founders are these two sisters. They're very lovely, Doa and Nayab, and they really promote this whole idea of individuality, which, like I said before, like my fellow interns have already gone over it a few times. But it's not just like we say it a lot, but I mean, like, they really do promote individuality. They promote freedom of speech. They promote freedom to do whatever you like as well. So yeah, I really love that about them. I really love that about House of Pebbles. So a little bit about the topic. We're going to be talking about leading through work re-entry. Now, we will explain. I know it sounds a bit, iffy right now. Maybe it's a bit hard to understand, but don't worry. We will get into the explanations. I'll explain everything. So yes, we have a lovely speaker as well. Her name is Maimoona. She's pursuing her master's in Organisational Psychology. She has lots of experience in the field. So I feel like we've done well, not me, Dua, my supervisor, has done a great job in finding her and looking for her. So I'm just going to add her to this session, and then we can start. 1 second. Okay. Hello,
Hi,
Maimoona.
Husna. Hi,
How are
thank you
you?
so much for having me.
It's okay. We're very glad to have you as well.
I
Maimoona,
just,
sorry, go
no,
on.
no, you were saying?
I've heard lots about you. Dua has said that you're an amazing speaker, so I'm personally very honored to have you on board here. I feel like we can learn lots from you and we can hopefully teach the audience lots as well.
I hope so too. I just want to say while you were talking about interning at House of Pebbles, when I saw what Dua and Nayab are doing, I was so happy because I see that there is such a big need for such kind of places and services in Pakistan, and seeing the kind of work that they're doing and then bringing you on board and kind of giving you a holistic experience, not just this but developing you as well. It's made me so happy, honestly. So when Dua reached out, I was so excited, not just about this but about the other projects as well. So really excited, and I hope that our viewers can also, while I have some comments or questions for them, can also participate during our live to make it more fun and interesting and get their viewpoints as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with the fact that, I'm happy as well that Dua and Nayab have launched this whole project, taking in interns. Like, I personally love it. I'm having the time of my life, if I'm being honest. Yeah, like, I really enjoy this because obviously psychology is something that, we're all passionate about. So it's amazing that we have this platform. And about the audience, I second you on that. So I really want the audience to get involved as well. We want to make this very interactive. So we're going to be talking about workplace and obviously, motivation and getting back into the workforce now, considering that everyone was at home for so long during the pandemic, and it is a very difficult transition as well. So if the audience can, give a little bit of input, how are you finding it if you're working? How are you finding it going back to work now? What are you struggling with? What do you think about this whole situation? So let us know. And we can get started. Maimoona, I think a lot of people are confused, because I was as well at one point, about what exactly organizational psychology is, or like what do we learn in that. So yeah, let's talk about
Exactly. So usually in Pakistan, when people hear the term psychology, whatever a therapist comes in their mind, because clinical psychology is very common. But in Pakistan, as it's known as industrial and organizational psychology, is all about people at work. So what goes on in their mind, what is their behavior. So I'm talking about anything from making the job in itself, like analyzing the job itself, how it should be designed, to analyzing organizations. So I'm talking about things like the organizational culture, how the behavior of people is as a group, how it shapes the organization and helps its functioning. And it's also about analyzing the people. So we're talking common HR terms such as training, performance management, learning, and inter-organizational structures and inter-organizational structures. So it's basically, we're using psychology for enhancing the performance of organizations and people at work. That is the crux of IO psychology
I
in
love
a
how you
nutshell.
explained that. It is quite well explained, so thank you for that, Maimoona. One thing I find really interesting about organizational psychology is that a lot of people think like, psychology, how can it, in the workplace, it doesn't make much sense at first. But the way you explained it, like, I love that, because it's like we are essentially still, discussing human relations and, social dynamics. And
Yes,
the only difference is that now it's in the workplace, right? So that's
exactly.
essentially one of the only
Exactly.
differences.
And the question you have is something I experienced early on in my career. Whenever I would go in organizations and I would tell them that I'm a psychologist or I have done my undergrad in psychology, their biggest question would be, but what are you doing here? So I would have to convince them that what I can do for you as a psychologist and what you're missing out essentially, which I think a lot of organizations are. They need industrial organizational psychologists on board to address a lot of things that a typical HR person cannot.
Absolutely. I think that's the main thing they're missing out on. A lot of organizations, a lot of companies, and a lot of just people in general, they underestimate the importance of, IO psychologists and organizational psychologists as a whole. Like they think, oh, what's the point of that? So I can understand why you had to explain to them why they need you.
Exactly. Precisely.
So let's talk a little bit about why do we actually need organizational psychology. Let's go into the details of that a little bit. So yeah, when we talk about, organizational psychology or employee well-being, like it sounds like it's like an add-on. It sounds like, oh, it's not that important. We're just, bringing it on because maybe we're developing or moving forward as a company, that this is like, oh, fancy little addition that we have a psychologist on board. So let's talk a little bit about why that's actually important, because I don't think a lot of people really know that.
Yes, so a trend that I've observed, especially in Pakistan over the past few years, is now that well-being is becoming a very, you could say, popular word in organizations, and a lot of organizations are implementing well-being initiatives without maybe at times truly understanding where they need to start from and understanding why organizations need to focus on well-being. And when we talk about employee well-being, it's not just their mental health, it's their physical, mental, and social health. So it's a holistic, you could say, paradigm. And I'm glad to see that some organizations now are starting to focus on that. But the why is that why you need your employees to be feeling wellness and well-being is that it's tied to research has shown us that it's tied to a lot of things from employee commitment, job satisfaction, employee engagement, to performance, and even hardcore business metrics like sales and customer satisfaction, and a lot of other things, because it's a chain. When your employees are, you could say, have high well-being, then their psychological state is better, which leads to better organizational outcomes. So it's a strong business case why organizations need to strategically think about employee well-being. And it shouldn't just be oh, we have well-being initiatives. It should be a thought from the start when you think of HR or people-related services. So that is the core reason I think that well-being is something every organization needs to look at strategically. It has business benefits for your organization.
Absolutely. The same thing that I've been seeing in the past few days is that there's a lot of hype about this whole thing of, bringing an organizational psychologist on board. And what you said about that it's backed by research is, 100% true. Like, it has been proved, and they've really worked on this and, brought forward the research that it does improve employee productivity, like a lot, maybe even more than increasing their salary.
True.
So I think that's an interesting.
Not just one factor that satisfies people. It's one part of the picture.
Exactly.
I'd like to hear from people that what kind of employee, if anyone is working anywhere, what kind of well-being initiatives are offered at their organizations. I'm just curious what's happening in people's organizations.
Yeah, same. I'd like to know that. So guys, you can leave comments here and we'll hopefully get started with them. There's a few already there. We'll come to it when we bring up that topic. So let's do that. But one thing I'm quite curious about in Pakistan specifically, when there's so many people who are struggling with, just getting even their basic salaries, how does organizational psychology fit in here? Really, because I mean, there's people who they're not even satisfied with their pay scale, like with how much they're earning. So then how are companies supposed to make a difference with, getting an organizational psychologist on board, or, maybe Yeah, so that's really my question.
That's a very good question, because when we think of job satisfaction, pay, especially in a country like Pakistan, pay is a very big factor because everyone needs financial security. But in case when organizations are unable for whatever reason to give pay increments, it could be business reasons or economy or whatever, there are many other things that they can do to kind of balance the equation in a way, if I am to put it delicately. Things like making sure that the attitude and behavior of their supervisors is very supportive and trusting. So, in creating a very conducive, positive environment, making sure that people have the autonomy and empowerment to design, not design, but like manage their roles in their own way. So they can change their tasks, they can organize their work in their own way, to kind of give them some sense of control. So if they're unhappy with their pay and the company is unable to increase the pay for whatever reason, they can give them other alternatives. And another important thing is not just assuming what the employees want, not just thinking, oh, if we give them more autonomy, they'll be happy. Oh, they have an issue with the manager. So you have to ask, you have to dig
Exactly.
deep. And that's where the organizational psychologist comes in, to understand that where we can make and how we can make the impact. So to reach out to people, do what any kind of data analysis or any kind of focus groups, and reach out to people and understand that what can we do to make sure that you are motivated, you are somewhat satisfied, to balance it. That's kind of our tough role that we it's a hard job being an organizational psychologist, because you are not just a stakeholder for the organization. Ethically, you are also your stakeholder is also the employee. So you have to kind of make sure it's a
Make a
win
balance.
for them. Yes.
Yeah. One example that I think really applies here is like, because we're all students, right? Me and you both, and I think a lot of our audiences are students as well. So I think one good way of explaining it is like when you're in a classroom and you have a teacher that you like, and a teacher who's interactive, a teacher who asks the students what they want. And I mean, we all love a teacher like that. We all put way more effort in their classes when we have a teacher like that. So I think the same can, go directly into the workplace when you have a boss or a supervisor, or, the higher ups who are really asking you what you want. I mean, you're able to work more efficiently, and you're able to really put your heart into it.
Precisely. And if I touch upon like some of the things that, if you're talking about employee well-being, some of the things that I've observed organizations doing is like employee assistance programs. So I've observed in Pakistan, I'm not going to name organizations, but they have on panel counselors and therapists even on call on employee assistance programs that employees can reach out to in case they face any distress or any personal even or professional trauma, they need counseling. So we've seen that. I've also seen some big companies doing wellness initiatives, so vitality programs or health orientation, educating people and changing what they offer food in their cafeteria and all that stuff. So there's good stuff happening. One thing that I don't see in Pakistan, I haven't up till now in organizations, is psychosocial risk assessments. Organizations do not, I could say, properly assess where is the stress or distress coming from. It precisely, like properly doing psychosocial risk assessments. So that is something I haven't seen up till now. And in Pakistan, we don't have any laws for that. Internationally, organizations are legally obliged to do it. Not in Pakistan, though.
Can you just clarify? You said risk assessment?
Psychosocial risk assessment, yes.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on that? Like, what do you mean exactly by that?
Sure. Psychosocial risk assessment is any psychosocial risk can be anything that creates any kind of emotional exhaustion or burnout or stress for the employee. And it can be anything ranging from lack of role clarity to trust issues to not having enough independence in the role. So So the whole point of a psychosocial risk assessment is to identify what is the trigger. If people are feeling distressed, if people are facing health issues because of the problems they're facing at work, where is it coming from? And I think to really properly in a very research minded way to study in an organization helps them to make proper interventions. So if you find out that, oh, the reason why employees are stressed is because they don't have good relationship with their managers, you can fix it. Until you don't know, you're gonna be like putting all these vitality programs and this therapy sessions, whereas you're not treating the root of the problem. So
I
proper
really like
diagnosis, proper treatment.
Yeah. So it's like it's tracing the problem back to its source.
Exactly.
So
And it's,
yeah,
you were saying something?
it's okay. I was just going to say we should answer some questions because people in the comments are really
Oh, okay.
they're really going they're really asking quite a few things. So let's see. Okay, so Dua has asked, Husna, as an undergrad student, what factors do you feel a leader can provide in a workplace for you as someone who is new to the field and just joining the employment stream? For me as a student, well, honestly, I'm quite new to the whole workplace thing. Like I have interned a lot. I have not really worked quite a lot. I would say what House of Pebbles is doing. I mean, I feel like it's very interactive, and I love that as someone. Like, I can imagine working for a company where, my bosses or my superiors are very, just directly interacting with me. So it's quite personal. I feel like that makes a lot of difference. So you don't just feel like a slave working somewhere. You really feel like, okay, I have a connection with my boss. Okay, here's another question. Do you think the pay is minimum wage? Do you think if the pay is minimum wage, the best way to balance that is through packages like insurance? I'm guessing she means like health insurance or like having
Yes.
psychologists or like therapy or
So
counseling.
in terms of, sometimes when organizations are not offering you a very high pay, they can balance it through a lot of other, you could say, benefits such as life insurance or education coverage for you yourself or your children, or they can balance it out with other perks such as travel benefits or fuel allowances and travel allowances. So there are options, and I've seen in a lot of good organizations, they offer a menu to the employees that they can sometimes choose from. So maybe I need a travel allowance, but you don't need it. You choose something else. So that is one way that sometimes organizations balance it out if they cannot increase the base minimum pay of the employee.
We see that here in Pakistan as well, don't we? But it's not with insurance. It's actually through other like incentives, like they'll give you a car or they'll
Exactly,
have
precisely.
bonuses, but the focus isn't really on mental health. So I think that's one small difference we have here. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Essence asking how to change the psychology of executive. Lots of organizations are facing Scythia culture psychology, which is not better for employees. I don't know what that means, honestly.
So I know exactly what that means. So
Okay.
to explain it to other viewers, Setia culture is a term used in Pakistan. What it means is, for example, a family started a business and then it grew and grew and it
I
became into a big organization, but the mindset is still very you give
familiar.
orders. Yeah.
Okay, like
So you have
traditional.
a state in the top who gives orders to
I
the other
see.
employees. So changing, having worked with a few organizations that have this kind of culture, the biggest way to win over executives, or I would say any executives, is to, I always say that show them, if you're talking about psychology, what is the business benefit? What is the strategic benefit of what you're recommending? If you're recommending a well-being intervention, bring in numbers like how it will benefit the company. It will reduce the number of absenteeism, it will reduce number of sick days, it will increase productivity. So you need to show to the CEOs, the executives, that what is the financial benefits that are going to come from this initiative or you're recommending. So you need to really build a strong case to win them over, basically. Speak
So you
their
need to
language.
provide,
Yes,
yeah,
speak their
you need to
language.
provide hard proof that like if you do, all these things, then you get more money. That's how you speak that language,
In a
right?
way, yes. Sadly, some of them.
Okay, I think we're missing out on the main thing, which is work re-entry. So let's talk a little bit about work re-entry. Given the pandemic, obviously, I think a lot of people, I mean, I don't think it's true that a lot of people were working from home and, they really got used to the whole environment at home. And the people I know who are working in companies, they loved it. Like they were like, we are having the time of our life, and they do not feel ready to go back to the offices. So how can leaders or bosses, supervisors, how can they make it easier for their employees getting back into work?
I love how you put it, that they've gotten used to it and they love it. You don't have to get up early in the morning, get ready, go to work, and get stuck in traffic. So it's very true. And apart from, I think that's one of the psychological reasons why people are anxious. You get into a habit and the comfort, and now you have to change again. You got used to your routine at home, and now again you're changing. So people have a lot of anxiety coming back to work, apart from the fears of getting the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That's there.
I feel like that's a secondary fear, and the main fear is like, oh no, we have to, get up
Yeah,
early. And I mean, for sure, it's harder going back into work because I mean, stuff that you could do at home, and this pandemic has really proved that working at home is possible for a lot of, for a lot of jobs, for a lot of employees. Ginza has asked, do you think that the work environment has changed with this pandemic? Like, have the work boundaries changed?
absolutely. I think because of working from home, the work boundaries were seriously blurred. And I think people faced more burnout during working from home because they would get a call anytime during the day, even at night, in the early morning, from colleagues or supervisors to do work. So a lot of organizations had to redefine boundaries, that, okay, working from home, but then again, you have a certain schedule. So leaders, managers, and employees had to sit down and redefine boundaries, because you don't want people to feel that kind of stress. And back when you were going to office, it was a psychological, you could say, compartmentalization. Like, you were at work, you left work, you came home, and you relaxed or did whatever. Now this completely blurred.
Absolutely.
It felt like you're always at work.
I can agree with that 100%. I mean, I'm not at work, I'm at university, but 100%, like the lines are completely blurred. And even those around me who are working currently, who have a job, I mean, my brother, my father, my supervisors included, like everyone's saying, oh, it's like we get no time to relax. We're just at
Exactly.
work all day. We go to bed and we're doing work. We wake up and we're doing work. So I think that's a
Exactly.
great question. Duba has said essentially the same thing. I feel like work from home has completely changed our routine. How does one go back to their old routine? Because let's be honest, what work, okay, I'm not sure what it says, does bring a lot of comfort, which we don't get by going to the office or working from
True.
home. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Working
Working
from
from
home.
home.
Yeah,
That is
100.
precisely one of the points, which is why let's dive into some of the strategies that leaders need to be ready for, and they can utilize to make sure that people are ready to get into that kind of mindset, you can say. So, the first point, I'm going to be talking about 5 C's. So, my first 5C that I would say is communicate. All these questions and concerns that you're raising or the viewers are raising in their comments is precisely what the leaders need to be prepared to answer. So, employees are seeing that, oh, work from home is definitely possible. So, leaders need to plan that, okay, some of the jobs employees need to show up at work. are there still some jobs that can be done from home? And they need to be prepared for this reality that it will be happening this way. For maybe now it will happen this way, that you still have some employees working from home and a lot of customer facing roles or collaborative roles going to the office. So leaders need to be prepared and look at their options, what they can do. So they need to communicate, they need to open two-way streams of communications. Be ready to answer these questions, and I would say answer them before the employee asks you, because sometimes the employee is not going to ask you, but they're thinking it, that I don't want to go to work, I'm more comfortable here, or maybe they have a old loved one home that they want to take care of. So be prepared to answer these kind of questions, give them options, brainstorm together, and ask employees that, do you have any concerns about rejoining work? What can we do to help you transition to work smoothly? Because it's not the same for everyone. So maybe for me, I'm excited to go to work because I'm maybe bored working at home. So it can be different for everyone. So you really need to communicate with your employees before you do this whole transition. Really plan out a strategy that, okay, who can we allow to work from home? Who can we allow to come to work? What options can we give people? What's doable for us? Like, don't offer something you cannot do. Give options, but what's doable. So that's one thing. And that's one thing that leaders can do. A is communicate. And talking about the second C, which is clarity. Now that a lot of roles are blurred, there will be people working in office, at home. There's a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity that what am I doing? What's happening? What's going to happen to my role? Some people lost their jobs. So there's a lot of change happening. And in this kind of environment, leaders need to be really clear. And I would say, if there's any leader listening, that before people even join, you need to do a proper session, like a reorientation session with your team, to reset and realign everyone that, hey, these are our goals. This is your role. This is your role. These are your tasks. Together, these are our group goals. So kind of make sure that everyone is on the same page. So make sure that communications are clear, processes are clear, and answering any kind of questions that people might have. Because I've seen and I've heard from my own friends who are like working from home and other relatives that it's a lot of confusion. So you need to address that confusion before people rejoin or whatever happens. And another thing which addresses a lot of, you could say, a lot of the psychological aspect is the third C, which I say is that they need to check in with the members. So a lot of times the leaders themselves and the employees, they need to handle the emotional distress. So coming back to work, people will be demotivated maybe or upset. So you need to address that beforehand. So make sure that as a leader, you are prepared to identify signs of distress. Sometimes I've seen leaders who don't even know that their employee is distressed. So some of the signs that you can look out for is that if somebody is showing up late for work, if they're having sudden anger outbursts, or if they are having some careless mistakes which they don't normally do, and poor timekeeping, they're late, they are not very well, not doing well in making decisions. So you need to be ready to
Keep
spot these
for that.
signs as a leader, that, oh, this guy is showing up late or didn't show up on time for the meeting, what's up? So you really need to be vigilant with your team.
I feel like a lot of organizations are very, shall I say, punishment oriented. Like, they do see these things for sure. They see people are showing up late, or they see they're not doing a good job. And
Yeah.
instead of paying attention to that or actually finding the root cause, what they do is they punish them. Like, they cut their salary, or they threaten them with firing them. So I feel like that's what
Exactly.
that's quite a fear that a lot of employees have when they're working as well, that they're going to be fired. And I think that's only been amplified more given the current situation that so many people have lost their jobs as well.
Exactly.
And it kind of acts, it doesn't act, I mean, like, when considering everything that's happening and the fact that the job seeking market is so saturated at this point as well, organizations and companies kind of feel like they can take advantage or they can exploit that desperation, offering less money where people would have, maybe demanded more at first. So I feel like that is definitely something that they shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't be exploiting that. And for sure it comes in the communication aspect, that they should, talk about what's happening, reorientation, that coming back to what, this is how we're going to do things differently, and kind of assuring them that, they won't be punished. If they need help, that organization can give them the help they need.
Definitely, what you're saying is exactly right, because communication in any time of change is critical. Like, you need to be really timely with your communication, with any changes, with any updates. You need to keep people informed, and not just informed, reassure them that if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, you are free to share it with them. And if the organizational culture is such that people do not share concerns freely, then you can set up anonymous portals for sharing concerns about rejoining work and answer those concerns, because in the end, it's going to impact your bottom line. If I talk in business terms, if you have employees who are demotivated, who are not sure on what they're doing, if they're having conflict with other team members because they both are not sure on what their roles are, then it's a failure, I would say, of leadership at the end of the day. So communication and checking in with employees, making sure that they are not in any kind of distress, or being flexible. So that people are rejoining work, they're used to working from home or doing things at their own pace. So you really need to show some empathy, I would say. Be a bit more human and understand that it's going to take people a little bit of days to get back into the habit. And this is, I feel, where the fourth C that I'm going to say is come in, is you have to help people reconnect, because they have been so disconnected from each other and working away or in the same space, that you need to rebuild that team flow. And you can, as a leader, you can do it in a lot of ways depending on what your team is used to. You can do kind of morning meeting sessions or kind of fun team building activities to kind of rebuild the culture, and do it frequently in the start of the days, because you need to give people something to look forward to, something positive, something good, that when they come, they feel, oh yay, I'm excited to come to work. And a bit of extra mile, make people feel a bit special when they come back, I would say.
A friend of mine recently said that. She said it would be so amazing if organizations could do like welcome back parties, because a lot of people love work, parties or like work sort of activities, and it really gives them something to look forward to. It doesn't have to be, something that they spend a lot of money in, just a little get together. And I feel like it certainly helps with the fourth C, that's reconnect.
Definitely, because what you're saying is a brilliant idea, and I hope some leaders are listening and
I hope so.
catching on to these thoughts that you need to do this, that any kind of informal, do a fun game, any kind of fun game. You could do two truths, one lie, or show your hidden pandemic skills. What did you learn in the lockdown? Truth or dare, anything fun that kind of builds that I would say friendship again between the employees. And the fifth C, I would say, is also important, is choice, which we kind of talked about. And a lot of people also said that, what if they don't want to join back work? What if they still want to work from home? And it's possible for them. So companies and leaders really need to rethink how work is designed. And I feel this whole pandemic has completely flipped the story on that we need to be at office 9 to 5 to work. So they need to rethink and give employees the options, the flexibility to modify their maybe even working hours if possible, the way they organize their task, maybe offering flexi hours so that they can manage things
Give a
accordingly.
little wiggle room as well.
Exactly.
And also exceeding deadlines as well. Like instead of saying, oh, you have to do your work, in the 9 to 5, give me your work, submit it before 5. Instead of doing that, if people want to go home, you can say, fine, go home and, finish your work off at home because, technically everything's possible online, most things anyway.
Exactly.
So,
That kind of options would be great. So according to each organization, I feel this is a moment for leaders to introspect and reflect on what they can do. And I would recommend that brainstorm with the employees because sometimes the most brilliant ideas come from the most unexpected places. So you think that, oh, we're going to offer this, and if somebody could come up with an amazing solution together, working together, that we can do XYZ. So it has to be together, working with the people.
Yeah, employees know what they want for sure. I mean, even Tuba said here, I think every employee has a different need they want fulfilled. Not everyone will get motivated by increased salary or benefits, and some may want appreciation or recognition, which is so true. I mean, it doesn't always have to be money, and I think that's something that people think is common sense, but not many organizations actually implement it, like appreciating your employees, celebrating their successes, and recognizing their work. So I really liked this bit of what you just told us, this bit of info, the 5 C's. So we have communication, clarity, checking in, choice, I think.
Yeah, connecting and then choice. Yeah.
Connecting and choice. Okay, so I was just summarizing so the audience can keep up. Now there's lots of questions here. I really wish we could go through each one because there's quite a lot of useful and insightful input. But then we do have to look at the time as well. Let's talk a little bit shortly about motivation. Because we did briefly go over this, like organizations, they don't really necessarily have to spend a lot of money to, motivate their employees. And obviously, if your employees are happy, you're getting more work done as well. So what can organizations do that don't have a lot of money, or small companies as well? Because there's lots of like new startups where there's like 20, 30 employees, take care of them as well. But given the whole money problem, and given they're not huge really in terms of organization size, what can they do for their employees?
So if we talk about motivation, if pay is when we talk about motivation, a lot of psychology talks that pay is one of the hygiene factors. It's not necessarily a motivator. So if we talk about motivators, there is a lot of things that organizations can do based on what is doable for them. The biggest thing, and I personally feel it's really powerful, is empowering people, giving people decision-making authority that they don't need to relay back to their line manager and their manager and their manager to take even the most smallest decision. So empowering people with decision-making authority is one of the stronger things that organizations can do. Then if we already talked about autonomy, empowering people to reorganize their work, and then also giving variety in people's tasks. So if there is monotony, that the one person has been doing that one job since forever, then you can offer them, if they want, to add some other tasks to their portfolio, or give them stretch assignments, so assignments that are beyond their role, or cross-functional projects or assignments that they can work with other teams. It also depends a lot on what the organization can do and what the employee also wants. So sometimes employees don't want to work with cross-functional teams. They want to build their specialized skill sets. So in that case, stretch assignments are a good offering. You can offer them training and development opportunities. So if possible, sending them to external, internal programs, development. So there are, depending on the situation, many things you can do. Giving autonomy, decision-making authority, making sure there's variety in the task, giving people more tasks in a way that they can see the difference their work is making. So if an employee sees that, hey, my task creates this big difference for the organization in the long run, they feel more, you could say, motivated that what I'm doing is really meaningful. It has a purpose. So building purpose, giving autonomy, some of the things that organizations need to focus on beyond money. Money is just one part of the picture. And then if we go beyond the role, then you also have the supervisors. The relationship between an employee and supervisors is very critical. Many times, employees leave jobs because they have a bad boss or they don't have good relationships. So that is one thing to look at as well, making sure that your people managers have the necessary people development skills as well. They're focused on developing their employees. And it doesn't need to be anything fancy. You would be surprised that in organizations, a lot of learning happens just in day-to-day tidbits, like your manager telling you, oh, this is something that I learned through my experience. Here, learn this. So that kind of informal learning is so powerful. And if you inculcate this in your people managers, it is amazing because they then are transferring their knowledge, they're building that relationship with their team members. So those are some of the things that organizations can do if they cannot just offer you more money. Some of the other things to motivate people.
I think this goes back to two of the C's actually that you've talked about, connect as well, reconnecting, and obviously communication, because you are building that relationship with your employees and you're also asking them what do they want. So I'm so sad to see that our time is almost ending. We have a few minutes left, but I really want to address some of the questions, some of the comments that people have left. So do you think we could do that very quickly? Because I really don't want to leave them hanging. Okay, let's start here. Yusra said, I think IO psychologists are needed. However, I wonder how much freedom they have to reach out to employees, or how much they can help satisfy employees. Because there's a huge us versus them mentality in the corporate sector, where superiors focus on maximizing output and profit, and the well-being of employees is rarely taken into account. I think that's quite that's quite true as well for most large organizations, especially because they're mainly focused on output. You know, how much revenue are we getting? How much are our employees working for us? How much profit are we making? So that's definitely true that it can be hard for it depends on how much freedom they have. What do you want to say about this? Because this is, I think mainly about Pakistan.
If I understand correctly, Yusra's trying to say that she wonders how much empowered IO psychologists would be in an organization. So this is where I would say you need IO psychologists, because ethically and morally, the way we are trained is that we hold ourselves accountable not just to the organization, but also to the people, which is the employees. So there's no us versus them mentality. And another thing that I've noticed, which is a very positive thing in organizations in Pakistan, in the ones that I've interacted with, at least, I mean, they're big organizations, that there is change. Like, there is no a lot of us versus them. Their HR tries and is there to be impartial and is there for the employees and for the C-suite, you could say, the executives. So, but coming back to how IO psychologists can balance this politics, I would say, is that you need to speak the language of both the parties. So you need to understand the needs of the employees, and sometimes every need, or you could say every requirement, is not doable realistically for the organization. So you need to really put your heads together and communicate that back to the management or senior executives, that in terms of, again, business terms, that this is where the benefits lies. And I would say in today's day and age, people is the biggest strategic asset that any organization has, especially in times of this pandemic. You need good, adaptable, skilled people. So if you're not focusing on them and not listening to them, then you're going to lose eventually. Any business that does not treat its people as strategic assets, as their core, you could say, strength, is going to lose. So it's changing now, but there are organizations that focus on output only too, but that's where the IO psychologist comes in. They need to be good at communication and convincing people.
I think reputation also plays a part. Like you said, those organizations, they need to treat their employees as a strength. And I think that goes for nowadays. I'm hearing of like quite a few organizations or like little startups that are really focusing on their employees, and they're known for that specifically. They're known for, paying attention or like valuing their employees, and people want to really work for them, even if it means not having as much of a pay as they wanted. Okay, moving on to the next question. Dua says, can corona stress and work from home be assessed through that risk assessment? I think she's referring to what you mentioned earlier on in the live session.
The psychosocial risk assessment.
Yeah.
So you can assess, because in a psychosocial risk assessment, you also assess burnout, health, and other kind of physical and social issues as well, and even work-life balance issues. So you will be able to pick up, and especially if your organization has been doing these kind of assessment, you will be able to pick up that yes, employees burnout, and a lot of people are facing high burnout, are facing a lot of health issues now, or are facing a lot of work-life balance issues, as someone mentioned that the boundaries are blurred. So yes, psychosocial risk assessment can be a very holistic tool for identifying the triggers and the impacts as well in terms of psychological states that people are going through.
So it definitely can be assessed by that. Sorry, I'm just moving quickly because I really want to go through the questions people have. Right, Glenn has asked, do you think that time flexibility and self-pacing made possible by work from home arrangements could be adapted back in the workplace to positive effect? There seems to be groundswell interest for flexible work arrangements, especially among the younger workforce. I think we have covered this, haven't we? We did talk that it can be adapted back to the workplace, and in fact, it should be encouraged.
Exactly. The last C choice, I think this is a great learning for organizations that it is doable. You can give your employees flexibility. So I would say yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Moving forward, I think this is quite a good question by Kiran. Sorry, did you say something?
No.
Okay. So Kiran has said, so what techniques do you suggest to employees to de-stress as there's a lot of stress while working from home?
So to de-stress, especially for people who are working from home, some of the things you can try to reflect that where is my stress coming from? Is it because I'm unable to balance my schedules with my kids, XYZ, and then try to address. And I would say have a dedicated place in your house, if possible, where you can work from, and try to treat it as your mini office to create the psychological compartmentalization that this is work, this is home. So you don't keep thinking about that work. And again, if you're feeling distressed, some of the typical psychological techniques, like you could do breathing exercises. I would recommend doing exercise, even like a 10-minute workout, to make sure you get your dose of endorphins, are really good de-stressors now when you cannot go out. So create a barrier between what is work and what is home, so you don't feel you're at work all the time, and then do these kind of little things you can do that you find relaxing to de-stress.
Absolutely. And I think that goes, it's the same for time as well. Like if you would work a 9 to 5 when you're at the office, then I mean, you could put that same time limit when you're at home, 5 p.m. and that's it. I'm not going to attend to any more work stuff. So Abdullah has said, the thing I feel is that productivity level reduced at home compared to offices. So people have to learn at home. Productivity levels drop significantly compared to working at the office. I think that varies definitely from person to person, because it's not everyone. Some people are more productive at home for sure. But I suppose that is something that just varies with people.
And it requires a bit of reflection that what is hindering you or your performance as a employee, as a person, so that you can identify those triggers and address it. Is it interruptions from family members? Like maybe you're having a meeting and your mom pops in the meeting. So
Exactly.
what are the triggers that are actually you need to address? So a bit of self-reflection, like what can help you be more productive while working from home? I would ask that question to Abdullah.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we should be asking ourselves, really, that what would help us. A lot of people say that they lack or they're missing that sort of structured discipline that comes with, working in an office where you have to wake up at 7 in the morning. You don't have a choice. And that really motivates them. Musna has said, many schools fired janitors and such who were on 16K salary, and now they've hired many different people to pay them something like 4K. I think this is referring back to when we talked about how the job market is so saturated, in the sense that there's so many people looking for jobs that organizations kind of take advantage of that. Well, not all, but some. And, they hire people, giving them less money than those who would have wanted more money.
This is a sad fact that has happened all around the world, not just in our country, that people in a lot of low-paying jobs or temporary jobs were fired. And it's something I cannot defend these actions because people are earning their livelihood. So it has happened. I wonder if it's a question or a comment, because it is tough, and organizations need to rethink how they can move their employees without losing them or firing them, what they can do. And I know for smaller organizations it's not possible. Like if their earnings are going lower, then they are unable to sometimes even sustain employees. So
I think it was a comment, because after that she said, Musna said, because people really need jobs and they're still applying for these exploitative jobs. I mean, naturally, they don't really have much of a choice left.
exactly, this is more a wake-up call for our governmental laws as well, put in place for minimum wage, for organizational hours that protect people from these kind of situations. But we still have a long way to go in Pakistan regarding these minimum wage and regulations.
Absolutely, but I believe we're getting there one step at a
Slowly
time.
and steadily, yes.
I mean, organizational psychology is definitely, catching up, like speeding up a little bit here in Pakistan. You hear about it a lot more than you would have maybe 5-10 years ago.
Yes.
And we have a very short amount of time left, just 2 minutes. There is so much that I would have loved to discuss with you more. We had so many questions and comments that people have been leaving. It would have been so nice that we could have discussed them more. Maybe we'll have another session soon.
Maybe. Hopefully, I had fun.
I had fun.
I love the questions.
I really did. It was an enjoyable session. Maimoona, thank you so much, so much for agreeing to come on board with us on this. I learned so much, I can say that for sure, and I'm entirely sure that the audience loved it as well, considering how much they've been commenting and leaving questions. So thank you so much for that, Maimoona.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure, and I loved your questions and your insights while we were talking. It was great.
I loved yours as well. I really like that you simplified it a lot more as well, because obviously not everyone is as much into the field as some people. So thank you for that as well. And I think that concludes our session then. So thank you once again, Maimoona. Maybe I'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to our viewers. I'm gonna go now. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to go as well. So this ends the live session. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Maybe we'll have another one coming soon. I would suggest that you guys keep up with the Facebook page, with the Instagram page. If you're on LinkedIn as well, then you should definitely keep up with that too. We have lots of new things coming. Great session. I loved it. I loved it too, Tuba. Thank you. Yeah, so we have lots of juicy things coming, lots of workshops, lots of live sessions. So do keep in touch. And yep, stay tuned with the Facebook and the Instagram. And that's all. Bye-bye.